Magic Melee is back with Ginkgo and Marco. And in this match, match 4, we have Infect versus Naya Zoo. And Ginkgo, please do help me. I have no idea what this Naya Zoo deck is.
Oh, well, first of all, yeah, we figured out the Infect player didn't really have their time to shine, so he's back and he's mulliganing again. But the Naya Zoo is a little older strategy, a little bit forgotten, I would say, but nevertheless very, very explosive. It plays small creatures that punch a good punch, something like Goblin Guide, Monastery Swift Spear, Experiment 1, which we might see, and some other ones, and then it tops the curve out with something like Goblin Bushwackers. And this is also a matchup that is known as 8-whack. I do not know if this particular player plays 8 of those whacking creatures, but definitely wants to just top off the curve at 3 and whack the player. And we see creatures such as Wild Nakatl that have been banned in Modern before for being too strong, and Curd Ape as well. But how do you feel about a 3/3 for 1 that has been deemed too powerful for Modern, coming back to the Modern format and then being immediately forgotten?
Well, it just I think speaks volumes about how Modern Horizons 2 increase power levels of many decks.
Yes, it definitely opened up some strategies, but it also... oh yes, and we see here the first card, the shiny card being played is the Experiment 1. So 1/1 for 1 that grows. It has the forgotten mechanic Evolve, which grows the creature with +1/+1 counters whenever a bigger creature enters the battlefield. But going back to Modern Horizons 1 and 2, actually, they, barring some mistakes like Hogak and the other ones, they printed a lot of answers, actually. And what I dislike about this is that you do not ban answers, but both cards like Solitude and all the pitch elementals, they're answer cards. They're not combo cards. At least they shouldn't be, but then there is the pitch elemental deck which thrives on those pitch elementals and doesn't care about card disadvantage from them and so on. But that's a whole other matter.
Yeah, I think that, ephemerate elementals is a very, very hot topic with some very hot takes, but definitely something that we will talk some other time. For now, we have the Naya Zoo with Experiment 1, and we have Infect that started out a bit faster than in the last match.
Yes, exactly. I do think this is already 5 Infect being done. Main phase, the +4/+4, I do think this is Might of Old Krosa. And 5 Infect on their way. On the other hand, Experiment 1 still alone, but with 2 mana, we'll see what the Zoo player can do.
So can Experiment 1 grow instantly now?
Yes.
Oh.
Actually, we see it now, so this is I do think this is a Curd Ape. There is a 2/3, and it gives a counter to the Experiment 1 because it has a greater toughness.
Oh.
And we see a Wild Nakatl, and seeing that this is a red spell and a green spell, I do think in the middle one is the Burning Tree Emissary. So a 2-2, a 2-3, and a 3-3 being played on turn 2. Pretty nice turn, if I say so myself, for the Zoo player. And for the Infect player, a third land, followed by Rancor and almost knocking down his deck. But now the Infector is a 3-1 Trampler. Still not enough to go through all of this wall of creatures, but we will see what tricks he has in sleeve.
Infect player having 2 cards in hand, with Naya Zoo player having 1, if I'm not
Do you
mistaken.
think? Yes. Maybe 2 as well.
But the board looks quite good for the Naya Zoo player.
Exactly.
Although it's very debatable if you should double block
The
or
Infector.
single. Yes. Yes. if
Yes.
he attacks.
Well, this is a debate as old as Infect, but the Infector just passes the turn without attacking, and it can be all over right now. I do think this is another experiment one, if I am not mistaken, and the Zoo player cracks the fetch and has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points of damage on the board. Not. Oh, they get a Dry Arbor. Interesting. So now there is 12 power on the board, and we will see what will it be of the attack.
Well, the Infect player has 2 open mana, but it's a green source, and I really don't see how he can stop all this value that's put on the board by the Naya player.
I mean, there is always a way for the Infect player to go just become immense, trample, +4/+4, swing, and the Nayazu player just has to block with everything to just stay alive.
To just stay alive.
Yes,
That's true.
this is an on-board trick, but it is a very valuable. It is what it is, as they say. But the Naya player is swinging away with whole team. So we will see if there will be any blocks. No cards in hand, only a Dry Arbor and 2 other creatures to block. Now, if ever, is the time for the Infect player to do something. 3 available mana, Rancor, which gives Trample, become immense. Okay, this is a good start. So the creature is now 8/4 Trample because of the Rancor. And now we see, I do think this is a protection from green.
I'm not sure what that is.
This is Phyrexian white, and 1 target creature gets protection from colorless or any color of your choice.
Interesting. Okay.
I do think this
It
is
does seem like
Apostle's
a
Blessing.
win. It does seem like a win.
We will see what the game is about right now, if there are any questions about the play.
Okay, so I think Nazu player is a bit baffled. So the game, nothing is happening. Although, I think the state is obvious, and finally attack.
We will see an attack, but I do have, the game is done. Although I do have a little correction to make here. If the Glistener Elf got protection from green, Rancor should have fallen off.
Miss trigger.
So for the audience at home, we here have a policy of Ariel policy that is non-competitive. So this is a fun matchup. This is a fun also the whole tournament, and missed triggers will be, as you have seen, possible and plausible, and we will try to remedy them, but we cannot come and answer all of them. So if you also see some mistriggers and think that the game should end it differently, leave a comment to say and express your thoughts there. But down to the sideboarding. What do you think? So you said you have no idea what the Naya Zoo player
No,
does.
really.
So tell me, what do you think the mono green Infect player has to do to win this match?
I don't think there's much it can do. I think that from seeing these matches, the mono green, in fact, is very, very restricted. So,
But we have seen something that, like an Apostle's Blessing that just gives protection from green in this case, can swing the game. We see Infect is Infect, and it will always have the potential of a turn 2 kill or
Yes,
a turn 3
yes,
kill with
indeed,
protection.
indeed.
So this is not something to scoff about, but I do think that the Naya Zoo player has a lot of tools in their sideboard that can combat this. We cannot overstate how little threats the Infect player usually plays, and I do think this is a little bit on the budgety side. So
Yeah.
I do not think there are
Yeah.
any Inkmot Nexuses,
Nexi?
yeah, those lands
Nexuses?
in this list, which reduces the threat number even lower. So what we have seen for up until now is, I would say, 12 creatures that have Infect, one of them being the Glistener Elf, the other one the Ichor Clawmere, and the third one escapes me, but is the one that puts a -1/-1 counter on his death. But with 12 creatures only that can deal Infect damage, and a lot of pumps and protection, it is great if the Infect player can stick a threat, but as we have seen, they have been mulliganing down into oblivion for the several games that they were on the screen. So this is definitely something to be aware of if you are playing mono green Infect. And on the other side, as we said, sideboard only contains answers. And
Indeed, that is
not only
very
that,
true.
but the Naya Zoo player is on the play, which gives them the incentive to be even more aggressive and put just the pedal to the metal.
So, do Infect decks usually play 12 creatures, or do they sometimes play, more?
Well, they actually usually do play even less creatures. So if you are looking at the blue variant of the Infect deck, they play the 4 Glistener Elf, they play the 4 Blighted Agents,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they play 4 Inkmot Nexus. And usually maybe 1 or 2 other artifact creatures with Infect, be it Ichor Clawmere or the other one. But the Infect creature count is also really low. But what they do have is something like a Spellskite in their main deck to protect those creatures.
Those that are
And also, they play Noble Hierarchs, which is a threat by itself,
Yeah.
but also is a excellent mana producer, which forgoes the turn 2 kills in most situations, because you will play the Noble Hierarch on 1, and then on turn 2 you will play your second land and put down your Infector, be it Glistener Elf, be it the other one, Blightsteel Agent, it's Blightsteel Colossus, and this one is the blue one. But you will have 1 mana to protect your creature, and we see here the Ichor Clawmere just got Path to Exile. And as much as the third land is great and everything, they are down a card, they are down an Infector, which is a valuable resource into itself, because as we said, they play, I do think, only 12 of those. And if the Infect player is without a second Infector, the game is done.
The game is over. The game is definitely over. Generally, game one went to the Infect player, but I think that Naya Zoo is favored from what I see. The Infect, of course, always has the ability to explosively end the game, but it needs to have something on board.
Yes, exactly. And we see there a Goblin Guide, a Curd Ape, and the Experiment one all attacking. This is a proper zoo. This is just beatdowns with creatures that cost one mana. And we see the Infect player being in the exact same spot that we said. So without any Infector, with 4 lands and a full grip of cards that do something if you have a creature. But if you don't have a creature, then you might as well be hellbent. And the Naya player is just crunching into the red zone, dealing, I do believe, 6 damage, and they're tapping again with Dryad Arbor, and all it takes at this point is a Goblin Bushwacker or something else to close out this game.
And I think it's gonna be closed quite soon.
We see another one, and this is another pump spell, mutagenic growth on top for 7 damage in total, and the Infect player cannot be on a high life.
No, you don't want to be in this position, and he sweeps
And
up
we
the cards.
see exactly scooping up. It's 1-1, and a little bit more room for sideboarding if somebody wants to change something play draw dependent. I do not think that they will, because the Naya player has their curve pretty low. I do not think if anything in their deck costs more than 2 mana. And the Infect player, I mean, as well.
Yeah, I think the mana curvature is quite similar between the two decks. They don't have very expensive cards. They are all 1 and 2 cards. Why do you think these decks don't play Lurus?
Well, might be just that they do not have it. I mean, this is something that is usually not talked about. But let's talk about some prices about those cards, and let's talk about availability. So Lurus was straight hit and was in like 80% of the decks before they changed the companion rule.
Yeah.
Because it's an 8th card in your hand, and you could have played it for 3 mana right out of the exiled right of your sideboard. Thankfully, this is not the case anymore, but it is still a very expensive and a very good card. And not everybody, as we see from the play pattern of the Infect player, not everybody has the money, the opportunity to have their deck fully optimized. For example, I didn't see any Nexuses from them, and I do think that the blue-green variant or even the blue-white-green variant is much better suited of battling through the endless slew of removal that our metagame provides than the mono-green one.
It's true. It's true. Of course, we did mention this is not so competitive. It's for fun. So a lot of players are testing the archetypes, and a lot of players. There are some young players. There are some old players. So yeah, it's a friendly meta, and not all decks are very competitive, and not all people have the priority of I will spend I don't know how much money buying cards.
Exactly.
Buying Lurus. It's true. It's true. But you know, I've seen quite a bit of Infect decks. I've played against them and didn't see lures in any of them, and not all of them were budgets. So maybe it's,
I mean, the other one is that Lurus is a white-black card.
it's true.
If you're not playing the white variant, then, well, you do not have the ability to
Very
produce white
true.
or black mana.
Very true.
So this is also something to be considered. But as far as the Zoo player goes, maybe there is something like Colossus in their sideboard, which is very good against both Dredge and Burn and some other strategies, and can clog up the ground. Oh, and we see time's up.
Okay, the players have moved into a forced end game with turn
At
zero.
least we think so. Maybe they have some time extensions because they're on camera, but we will have our table spotter, the tournament organizer, to confirm that, and they will definitely see that the 5 rounds are being played as they should, if this is the case. Maybe they have some time left, but we'll see. But back to the Lurs debate. Here we see a lightning bolt. Yes, the timer has been reset. I do not know what this means, but the lightning bolt gets rid of Acre Clawmere. So, back to the Lures debate. If there is something like a Colossus in their sideboard or some other maybe a Planeswalker or such that costs 3 mana, I do not think that anything above the mana curve of 3 would be in their sideboard, but this is definitely something to keep in mind because Lurus in a sideboard does not allow anything, if it's revealed, of course, does not allow anything above any permanent above mana value of 2 being in your deck when it is your companion and is revealed.
Okay. Of course, you can choose not to reveal it.
Of course,
And that's also a tactic after sideboarding. Maybe you sideboard. If you play Lures, of course. If you play Lures and you reveal it game 1, you don't need to reveal it game 2. And you can side in some, expensive cards. You can put even the Lures in your main deck. For
Exactly.
whatever reason. If you want, you can. You do you.
But we see another.
We strayed away from the game. It does seem like the Naya Zoo is winning. And
Exactly.
it's just
Unfortunately,
removal
the
advantage.
Infect player was on a streak without creatures, and we have seen two goblin guides actually revealing 2 lands, giving the Infect player 2 cards basically, but to no avail. They have a lot of mana, but no cards. And here we see a goblin bushwhacker being kicked and attacked for a whole bunch, and this is the game, set, and match. And 2-1 goes to the Naya Zoo player. So this is all for our games. This was the 4th match, and this is all for this week's Modern Melee.
Of course, we will be back, and we do hope you like this and you like the format. If you have any thoughts, ideas, suggestions, you can comment down below. And until next time, we hope you
see
stay
you.
well.
Yes, bye.
Bye.